Hey all, Frank here from Preston, Melbourne, Australia. Just putting up another video. This one is it's the vinyl tag, the 1926, oh not 19, 2026 vinyl tag that David Atkinson put up a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, 20 questions, pretty good. So I'm going to go, yeah, get them done now. Try not to dawdle too much, but here we go. Question one. Show your best vinyl or other format musical purchase of 2025. Well, I'll have to go to this little beauty. Juliana Hatfield 3, Become What You Are. You know, absolute killer album. Had it on CD for years, but very hard to find on vinyl and yeah, and expensive. And yeah, I found this copy. Yeah, it's an absolute killer album. 1993. I saw a tour of this when I was living in London. Seen it once in Melbourne as well. Yeah, great stuff. Juliana Hatfield. All right, share your favourite musical experience of 2025. Well, saw my first band of 26. I saw at 12:15 on Jan 1st, so that won't count. But I saw Underworld play, which is pretty good. But anyway, but of 25, I saw quite a few bands. John Spencer, PJ Harvey, Lemonheads, King Giz about three times, and probably about 50 Melbourne bands. But the highlight gig for me would be these guys. Um, Eddie Current Suppression Ring. Yeah, they've had a bit of a hiatus of late. They haven't played for quite a while, and they've just come out of the blue, released a couple of singles, and they did a free gig at the Federation Square, which is our town square in the middle of Melbourne, and the gig was just an absolute killer, absolute pearler. You just can't go no wrong with these guys, Yeah, one of my favourite Australian bands. Yeah, Eddie Current Suppression Ring. Number three, your vinyl record collection in 10 years' time. Is it bigger, smaller, or about the same size? I'd say it'd be bigger. I've got room, so can't see why it would be any smaller. I'm not selling that much stuff. So, yeah, I'd say it'd be bigger. All right, you move into a new home and you play one record turned up to 11 to announce your arrival. What is it and why? Well, I'd have to go for this one here. Absolute killer. Beaster by Sugar. This is just, yeah, Bob Mole's band, just absolute cracking album and just nothing better than turning this up to 11. It just would be sensational. Songs like Tilted, Judas Cradle, JC Auto, all at 11. There's just nothing better. And yeah, you'd make the neighborhood well aware that you're in town. But yeah, great album. Yeah, Sugar, Beaster. All right, show two albums, one each of your favorite male and female singers. This is a hard question, very hard. I've got lots of, but I'll just pick one. But I'll go this one here. Lead singer Mike Patton. Yeah, you just can't beat him. Yeah, his range is amazing. He'll play heavy music. He plays um, experimental music. Plays you know, lounge, whatever. But yeah, Mike Patton. Yeah, I'd go for him. Great stuff. And as for female, we'll go back into the 60s and I'll go for this great artist, Astrid Gilberto, famous for The Girl in Ipanema, but she's got many other great songs, a lot of songs that she did with Antonio Carlos Jobim. Yeah, great stuff, beautiful voice, and yeah, sadly she passed away a couple of years ago, but yeah, Astrid Gilberto. All right, we like to have fun here, so show top three soul dance records. So I've sort of ventured into the 70s with a bit of disco, I suppose. So yeah, we'll go this one. Isaac Hayes, Theme to Shaft. Great album, great music, awesome stuff. Next, how can we go wrong with a bit of Earth, Wind and Fire? Greatest hits, awesome. And lastly, Donna Summer. You know, wow. Three great 70s disco bands. Awesome stuff. All right. A real stinker. Nominate a track you hate from an album you love. And why do you hate it? Well, this album here, the song I've known since I was a small kid. We used to sing it in primary school. From probably their best album, the Beatles, the White Album. And yeah, so many great tracks on here, but there's just one track I just can't stand. Can't stand it. And that's Obladi Oblada. You know, just a piece of shit. There you go. All right, next. If you had to pick one album from each of the last 6 decades, what would they be? Well, this is bloody impossible. There's 60 years. Picking 6 albums over 60 years. So I've gone a bit of a theme here. So these are some of my favourite albums of these times, but I've gone theme. Firstly, 1969. Everybody knows this is nowhere. Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Yeah, his first Crazy Horse album, and just an absolute killer. Absolute killer. Still to this day, it's just timeless. Awesome stuff. So that's, yeah, 69. All right, here we go. We're going to 74. Got this beauty. Probably one of his best. Neil Young on the beach. Can't go wrong. Just an absolute, yeah, brilliant album. Blinder. Blinder. All right. The 1980s. And this was sort of like a comeback album of his, Freedom. After his Geffen years and all his, yeah, he released a couple of really crap albums, but then he came back with this. And yeah, it's got Rockin' in the Free World, which I'm sort of over. I've heard it a million times, but it's got other stuff on here like, Crime in the City, El Dorado, No More, just sensational stuff. Yeah. So yeah, the 1989 Freedom, Neil Young. All right. Here we go. We're going into the 90s. Neil Young, Sleeps with Angels. You know, absolute, yeah, killer. Yeah, just awesome. Yeah, and this album's sort of dedicated to Kurt Cobain. Yeah, great. Yeah, just you got to hear the song "Change Your Mind" side two. Just brilliant stuff. Yeah, Sleeps with Angels, Neil Young. All right, the 2000s. We've got this little perler, this box set here, triple album, Neil Young, Greendale, absolute beauty, sensational. Got two of my close to my favourite songs of his, Sun Green and Be the Rain on here. Both songs of which he's been playing quite a bit lately in his last live concerts. But yeah, Greendale, 2003, brilliant. And here we go, 2013. Psychedelic Pill. This is his last really good album. Also with Crazy Horse, saw him tour this. Just brilliant stuff. So yeah, that's my 6 albums over 6 decades. All right, you get the opportunity to spend a day alone with an artist, walking a mountain trail, the beach, hanging out in the city, or who would the artist be? Well, seeing I just showed 6 albums of this man, I'd say, yeah, I reckon catching up with Neil Young would be pretty cool. He seems like a pretty cool guy. He'd have some great stories. Be great to just sit back, have a beer and a smoke with him. Yeah, great guy. And the next question, what would your must ask question be? Well, mine would be just to tell me the story about him and Jimi Hendrix hot wiring a truck to get to Woodstock. I just reckon that would just be fascinating to hear the story. Yeah. So that would be my question. All right. Show a record that contains a track that always brings a tear to your eye, or are you a heartless bastard? Well, I'm probably a heartless bastard, but this track I do, it is quite an emotional track. It's all, from this album here, Ricky Lee Jones, her debut in 1979, and the song's called On Saturday Afternoons in 1963. Just a beautiful track, an orchestral sort of piano sort of song, and the song's all about growing up and nostalgia and stuff like that. And it's just a really beautiful track, and for some reason it evokes some sort of emotion in me. But yeah, there you go, Ricky Lee Jones. All right, show 3 albums from artists you tried to love, but question why you bother. Yeah, well, firstly, why have I got these 3 albums? Well, yeah, well, not firstly, I'm going to get caned for this because the 3 albums I've got in total have sold close to 100 million copies. So that's, 1 in 83 people on this planet have probably got a copy. But, I just don't get in them, just don't get them at all. So, firstly, I'll start with this one. This had about, close to 20 million copies sold. But Iron Maiden, just don't get them. Just don't get them. The vocals I find crap. Yeah, I like my heavy music, but not this. Just don't get it. All right, then my next album, this one sold 30 million copies. Def Leppard. No, I another album. I just don't get them. Just don't get them. I remember this. It was massive. Quite a few big singles. I had a lot of friends who were into them, but yeah, just not my cup of tea. And the next one, this sold 50 million. I'll get slaughtered for this. 50 million. AC/DC Back in Black. Yeah, well, this is AC/DC Mark II with Brian Johnson, and I just can't get into them at all. I recall this being released, and this is getting played to death. Whenever it was, what, 45 years ago, I suppose now. But yeah, just not my cup of tea at all. Can't stand the guy's vocals. Bon Scott, their first singer, they had a couple of good songs, Riff Raff, Rock and Roll Damnation, but yeah, this can't get into it at all. I must admit, but Brian Johnson's got a TV show where he interviews singers and that. That's really good. Seems like a nice enough bloke, but this I find complete shite. All right, there you go. All right, show an album an of an artist whose character disappoints you, and you can can you separate the artist from the art? Well, I'll have to go for this guy. No, it'd be pretty. I'm sure a few other people will be mentioning him, but Ted Nugent. Yeah, I've had this album for over 40 years. I haven't listened to it probably in 35 years, but yeah, yeah, Ted Nugent. A gun-toting, orange clown supporter. You know, yeah, yeah. This guy, the things he has said has been horrible, horrible. But then he's got a song like Stranglehold, and it's absolutely brilliant. Love it. Absolutely love it. So what do you do? So yeah, Ted Nugent. If you had to sell all your vinyl along with your record player, show one album you would hold on as keepsake. Well, I'd have to say this one. Yeah, this is an original copy. Yeah, um, one of the greatest albums ever made, in my opinion. And if I'm going to keep one album, I might as well keep this album because it's worth a few dollars, and you know sell it, and then I can buy a few more. But yeah, never mind Nirvana. Yeah, 90, was it 92? Yeah, brilliant stuff. Okay, discuss your VC highlight of 2025. If that's a video, link to it, but it could be a meetup or some event. Well, VC highlight. I haven't never met anyone off the VC. Never met anyone. Haven't been on any videos with anyone. So I don't know. The highlights are when I've put up about a dozen videos. When I get responses or people stating stuff or asking stuff, yeah, well, that's a highlight. So yeah, that's as big as it gets. All right, name your favorite music biopic if you have one. Well, mine would be Spectre. Yeah, it was a film or a two-part series made by Al Pacino and Helen Mirren, and it was all about Phil Spector, and it's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. De Niro just does, not De Niro, Pacino just does a magnificent job just playing him, and yeah, gets the wig going, the whole thing. Yeah, great, great, real worth watching. Yeah, really, really worth watching. And give three reasons why jazz matters, and show three reasons why jazz matters. Okay, well, this is probably I haven't listened to this for a while, but this would be my third favorite album. There's one and two would be my favorites, but this Jazz Queen 1978, my third favorite album. Great album, great album. You know, and three reasons why, because it's got Mustafa on it, Fat Bottom Girls, and Don't Stop Me Now. So yeah, that's why. Yeah, jazz matters. But yeah, there you go. Next question. You're an innocent man on death row. They give you one last music request. What do you ask for? Well, I just say, just get it over and done with. And I'd get them to play Napalm Death, You Suffer. It goes for 1.3 seconds. Just play that. That's enough. I'm gone. See ya. All right. Next question. Sell your favorite artists to new listeners and show one essential album and explain why they should make time for it. Well, I bang on about these guys in a lot of my other videos, but I'd have to go these guys, King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard. They've been around for probably 2000, been around about 13 odd years. They've released 27 albums. They play psych, prog, jazz, just my favorite band out of this country. Just brilliant, brilliant live. And this album here, Polly Wonderland, they released this in 2017, and they released 5 albums. This is the fourth one, and they released this one for free. Basically, they put the tapes up on the net and just said, okay, whoever wants, bootleg it. So people went out and bootlegged it, and I bought this bootleg off someone. But yeah, and it's a killer album. Killer album. Polygon Wonderland. Yeah, can't beat them. Check this band out live. They're unbelievable. Yeah, can't. Yeah, I've crapped on about them in my other videos, but yeah, King Gizzard. And last question: you're arranging a VC meetup in 2026. Excluding those you already met, invite 3 people you most would like to meet. Well, I haven't met anyone. If I had to pick people, I don't like doing this because there's so many great videos out there. But I'd probably, I'd probably have to go Harris Pilton and Vinyl Richie just because they'd be good to have a beer with and a laugh. I think they're very funny. And then along we'd have Brian, the embryonic robot. He seems like a really cool guy, and he'd probably straighten us out a bit because we'd probably get out of hand. But yeah, yeah, they would be probably my 3. But there's many, many more. Anyway, so that's my 20 questions. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. And I'll catch you a bit later on. Thanks. See ya.